word on the street and not confirmed, but there were rumblings and rumors over the weekend, Mike, that Dmitry Orlov is seeking something in the $8 million per year range. I don't know
Woo-hoo!
if you're sitting down or not, but no matter
Wow.
what, there's definite good news in those numbers for Ryan Graves and Scott Mayfield and
Yeah.
Carson Soucy as we look at some of the top free agent defensemen as part of our top 50 on dailyfaceoff.com.
Well, dude, Orlov at 31 years of age, I guess he thinks it's time to cash in. That's going to have to be a short-term deal if he wants $8 million, man. It's funny though, because I think your biggest free agent out there on the D market in terms of their next big contract might actually even be Vince Dunn in Seattle. Depending on the term of that deal, he's easily a 7+. He might even be approaching 8 if it's a short-term deal,
But
depending
he's
on
an RFA.
comparables. But he's RFA. That's correct. It's a different process there. Ryan Graves, his value just went through the roof with the Gavrikov deal. Graves will be north of $5 million, I think, by somebody as well as he can move his feet. And even on down the list here, you start to look at some of those defensemen like a Scott Mayfield, who's, he's on the other side of 30 at this point. He's a St. Louis kid. He shot at my goalie camps, years ago, but he's been a top 4 player for the Islanders. He's not a power play guy, but he'll play shutdown, penalty kill minutes. He's just like an Alec Martinez type minus the Stanley Cup, right? That Martinez is one for Vegas. So you think of those guys like Mayfield that there's going to be an awful lot of $4 to $5.5 million contracts handed out to defensemen this summer. Not the big tickets, Frank, but $3-5 million, maybe longer term. I think Mayfield fits in that mix. But here's the one I'm curious. I want your read on it. What do you think of Matt Dumba? Like, where's he going to slide into this mix? Because I don't know what's going to happen with him. He's a big variable for me.
I think he's someone that signs a short-term deal, maybe 1-2 years, to see if he can get back in and prove himself a bit. I think coming off of the year that he had where he really struggled, teams view him as sort of a kamikaze pilot. He can throw an enormous hit in the neutral zone, but he also makes a lot of turnovers and questionable decisions with the puck that I think teams are not sure on the risk profile. Does it make sense? And so can he go to a place and rehab his game? I think a perfect fit would be a place like Florida. Get an opportunity, sign. They're not going to be looking for someone with big term and dollars, and go and see if you can hit it out of the park. He's coming off of a decent payday with the Wild on that long-term deal. Doesn't necessarily need the money, so to speak, although it would be nice to cash in. He needs to go somewhere on a short-term deal. And I think same thing with John Klingberg. See if he can rehab his image again. These are some guys that had they hit the market a year ago or had signed different deals, we might be looking at them in a bit of a different light. And very few guys, Mike, in the playoffs have increased their value the way that Radko Gudas had, the 5th guy on our board there. Look, all playoffs long, he's been a beast. That's exactly the type of guy that you sign to round out your 6. Whether it's a 3-year, $3 million deal, something like that he's a valuable playoff commodity.
Big time. And you know what? You mentioned John Klingberg earlier. I don't like it for him that he missed his mark here. But if you're Jim Nill, you're thinking, man, I'm glad I stood my ground on this one.
Sometimes, like trades, the best contracts are the ones that you don't sign.